Welcome back to part 2 of the video on warp rep. Okay, what I want to do is just show you one little kind of detail that I've come to realize is kind of an important little thing when working on the edge, the very edge of the warp, when you're alternating between the thick and the thin wefts. And this is something that Rosalie Nielsen mentions in her video, and it didn't make a lot of sense to me when she said it, so I'm going to try and say it again. It'll probably be just as confusing when I say it as when she said it, but maybe repetition will help us here. So I'm going to aim the camera down at the piece and try and zoom in a little bit so you can really see what I'm doing. Okay, I'm just about ready to throw the shuttle across with a thick weft. You can see my thin weft here. So there that goes. We're across. I'm going to pull it up fairly tight. Now the thing to notice here, the last thread I threw previously was a thin weft. So it is now, I've made sure that it is laying, because that last thin weft came out underneath the farthest to the right hand side warp thread. Because it came underneath, it needs to be over the thick weft. This is hard to say, I'm getting tongue-tied. But you can see that we came out underneath the last warp, so we're over the thick weft. On the other side, although you can't see it because I'm zoomed in on this side, what's going to happen is I will come out underneath, or I will come out over the top of the last weft, so I will have to go through and be under my thick warp. So there's the thin one through. Now we'll do the thick one again. I wonder if I can zoom the camera over to that side. Get the light out of the way and it might work. Okay, so we'll start the thick weft back across. And because I came out over the last weft, the last warp, I'm going to have to go under the thick weft. So that effectively twists the weft threads at each edge to keep things straight on the edge. Okay, as you can see, I've changed the block feature so that now the thicker weft at the very edge, this edge here, is going under the gray instead of under the red. So what that means is that my thin weft is out over the last thread on this side now. So that means it's got to go underneath the warp. If I put the thick warp, the thick weft through now, what you could see is that it would go in, and I'd end up with this last thread really just floating around doing nothing. So what I need to do is pull this loop back out and go through there underneath, so that I'm underneath that last bit of weft, and that will lock my edge in place correctly. I know this is a difficult thing to think of when you're not seeing it in front of you on the loom. But for any of you who do weave and do weave warp rep, you'll understand this. For some of you who may decide to try warp rep in the future, it's something you'll quickly notice if you try it and don't do it, because you'll start to see floats at the very edge where there shouldn't be any. So just kind of a note on that, something to be aware of. Like I say, Rosalie Nielsen does mention this in her video and in her document that goes with the video. So just a word to the wise. Well, here we are, just about done with this warp rep. And, oops, wrong one. What I have done, I don't know if I have the camera over enough to see that. Can you see this? Yeah. Camera's at kind of a hard angle for me at the moment. So what I've done is I've opened up, I've cut off my warp. I didn't need any more, okay? Or my weft. And I cut it far enough over so I can fold it back. Then I took 2 of the 4 threads and pulled them out at a reasonable distance in between a couple of warps. Now let's open up the shed again. And I took one of the other 2 of the threads. I took out and moved it so it's through the shed all the way except for the very last thread. And I went and messed it around one so that when I fold it back, it will be locked on the edge. I'm going to come through, grab it, pull it out that same opening that it was in. Leave just a little bit of it showing. Lock it in like that. And now I'll continue to weave with just the thin weft to get enough on at the end to make a header or a tail piece, whatever you want to call it. Well, let's take the last shot across with the thin weft so you can see where I've got the thick and thins coming up this far, and then just alternating thin weft up here. And we're about done with that. Let's snip this off. Toss those in the wastebasket. So, we're done with the weaving. Let's start to snip it off. There we go. Take the break off. And we'll start to roll this up. Let's roll the other way. Easier rolling. To go into Judy's sewing room and put a bit of hem onto it. Then I can roll these 2 rugs out onto the floor and let you take a look at them. Put the brake back on. I'm sure that somewhere in one of my previous videos I've shown you how to take a piece off of the loom before, but I can't remember when last I did that. So there we go. That's this bit of rug off the loom. I'm going to go just hem it up a little bit and come back and show you. Well, the two rugs are done, and as you can see I have a model to demonstrate it. He's a great lump, but he thinks he's being cute, and he is demonstrating the rugs, although he's managed to get one of them all ruffled up already. So there you go. That's the two rugs. One of them is just a little teeny bit longer than the other by an inch or so, and I've got them laying there with both sides showing, so one of them is flipped upside down, so you can see that they are a reverse of each other. So that's the end of the weaving for the project. If you remember back at the very beginning, I had a small sample piece that I used for measuring, and that I said I was going to keep as a sample, and this is it. So there's my sample piece. Shows what the material looks like for my records, in addition to the two rugs. Hey, if you like my videos, I would appreciate you subscribing. If you're already a subscriber, thanks very much. I do appreciate it. We'll get back to doing another video in the not too distant future. I don't know what the next weaving project's going to be, and I have no idea what the next cooking project's going to be. So anyways, thanks for watching. Thanks for being a subscriber if you are, and in either case, bye-bye.